Okay, everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Kapadas.
Here.
Mrs. Passio. Here. Mr. Ranieri.
Here.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Here.
Mr. Shapiro.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly. Here. Mr. Farrell.
Here.
Mr. Long.
Here.
Mr. Basor.
Here.
And Ms. Strelli. Here.
Okay. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act has been given to the clerk in the following manner. 1, posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 5th, 2022. And 2, emailed to the retrospect and current office on January 5th, 2022. First order of business is the approval of minutes. A motion is in order for the approval of minutes of the February 22nd and March 1st meeting submitted by the clerk, as each member has received copies of the same. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Reports.
I have the treasurer's report for the period ending March 31st. There was a total of $5,638,071.64 in all accounts. I have a report of the fire captain for the period of the month of March. A total of 187 incidents took place. There was $20,907.71 collected in EMS fees. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the report of the construction office for the month of March. A total of $7,722 was collected for COs, zoning, permits, and apartment COs. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. I have the report of the tax collector for the month of March. A total of $165,572.87 was collected in taxes, and in sewer rentals, $113,002.36 was collected in sewer. I have the report of the fire marshal for the month of March. A total of $4,129 was collected in fire fees. There were a total of 69 inspections conducted and 1 fire investigation. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. I have the report of the Register of Vital Statistics for the month of March. A total of $1,770 was collected for death copies, marriage copies, and marriage licenses. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. I have the report of the Borough Clerk for the month of March. A total of $9,396.20 was collected in various types of licenses, and we did over 350 dog licenses in March, and 53 cat licenses just in March. And all those monies were turned over to the treasurer. That's all I have.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Is there a motion to receive the reports as read?
Make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Lobenstein, second by Ms. Passio. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to pause just for a second. I do want to bring up, if you saw the dog license report that was just given, even though this year was a good year for people paying for dog license and cat license, and we sent out information trying to explain to everyone that it basically covers the cost for the animal control officer and for homeward bound for the, the keeping of the animals when they're brought there. I wanted to propose this. I want to say to everybody, I want to propose to homeward bound that we, instead of paying them what they're asking, we pay them what we can afford. And the reason I say that is because we're not collecting enough money to pay for their bills, but I want to support them. So, but we could challenge them, which I really don't want to do, and challenge them and ask them, like, well, where are the dogs coming from? You know, dogs and animals don't know boundaries. They don't know if they're in Runnemede or Gloucester Township or Magnolia. But I don't want to leave them. But we could leave them for an animal shelter that's a third of the cost. Right now, we're subsidizing the animal shelter because of this. So I think we want to maybe go talk to them and see, you know, what am I saying? Right now, I think we're adding additional money just to break even. And we want to do other things with this money that we collect. So I think we want to talk about it. I know Ms. Passio is very passionate about this, but I want council to know that we are looking at everything that we're spending money on. And we tell people, pay your dog license, pay your cat license so it breaks even. And that's all we need. If more people registered their animals, we wouldn't have this problem. And in the past, we used to have a surplus, that we had extra money to pay for certain things. But the cost of the shelter's gone up, the cost of the animal control officer's gone up, and people have not been registering the way they should. So I want you to think about that. And just to give you quick numbers, it's
Cost
cost.
of vet bills have gone up, because if we get an animal that is sick, it goes to the vet, we have to pay for that.
So Homeward Bound's costing us closer to $15,000, the animal control officer's costing us $6,000. So we're at $21,000 and we only brought in less than 10. And it should be breaking even. And that's why we have to try to do our best to do this. But at the same time, I think council wants to promote a no-kill shelter, but at the same time, we have to figure out, we have to get the people to help us pay this bill. Animal. What?
Well, it's
You can't use tax money.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that you can enforce when you issue a summons for not paying your license.
We can be a little more aggressive.
You're more aggressive on that.
Chief Sampolsky one time did show up at someone's house to arrest them for not paying their dog license. Of course, it was my neighbor.
Yeah, I was very nice to that.
He did not.
It was my neighbor.
Yeah.
I got a phone call.
I was.
You were very
I was
nice.
straight, I was
Very
very
that phone
nice.
call was not from you.
And accommodating.
At Orange jumpsuit.
Orange jumpsuit. No, they called me to yell at me.
Right.
After.
But what I'm saying is.
I didn't do anything. He did his job right.
Yes.
He warned the person that there was a summons. And then if they went to a different town,
Yeah.
that could have been turned into something very terrible.
And then after she said I was very nice,
She was.
she apologized to me.
It was good. You handled it very well.
Well,
But something to think about.
I gotta say, the animal control officer, the issues that I have with the dog down my street, with the dogs getting out and stuff, he did absolutely nothing
Well,
wrong.
that's different. That's more of a borough ordinance than the animal control officer's helping us out with. I called Joyce up to get the deer off of Evesham Road.
Yes, with my deer removal, my deer carcass
Deer
removal.
carcass. He helps us out with those kinds of things. But those are more code enforcement issues. But we have a lot on the agenda tonight. I apologize for that. We're gonna group the resolutions together and move them quickly because we have a lot of ordinances. The first thing we have to do is public hearing. Ordinance 2202 is an ordinance amending chapter 46 of the code, Borough of Runnemede, entitled Personnel. This is the opt-out. This makes it clear that if someone is entitled to health insurance from the borough, they can't opt out health insurance for the borough. We're following state rules. You can't take the same thing. So it's just clarifying. It's never happened to us before, so we're just clarifying that you can't opt out for our own insurance. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this ordinance, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public portion?
I'll make a motion to close the public portion.
Motion by
I'll
Mr.
second
Ranieri,
that motion.
second by Ms. Passio. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt on second and final reading and advertise according to law.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Mr. Valentine, second by Mr. Ranieri. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes?
Mr. Lobenstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
and Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Ordinance 2203 is an ordinance amending Chapter 246 of the Code of the Borough of Runnemede entitled Massage Establishments. This is the clarification that if the state of New Jersey issues, it doesn't stop our rules, but if they're licensed by the state, they don't have to be licensed by us also. So the state does have a licensing.
But this, I agree with your ordinance. However, I did want to do an established footage, and that's not what's in
I
this.
think we pulled a little bit of that out, because it's really, once again, this was, just to remember why this came up, is the one place is the Greystone.
Yeah, but the
Or they're
footage
renting
is
just
very
little-
small.
It is small, because it's only a single person working on a table.
But what if the next massage parlor is larger?
The ordinance does specify, as they get bigger, they're required to have bigger bathrooms, bigger changing facilities.
Oh,
So, and it does say that. It does say that once you get larger, you're doing it. It was just that basis was really hurting us. It was basically saying that no one could do this job without a big facility.
I have no problem with that ordinance as it has been revised.
Okay, is that correct? Am I saying that all right? You fixed it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was
Okay.
very well said.
Just as long as it's been revised.
Yeah, no, it's good, and if we find there's a problem,
Reservations initially.
It is.
and if we find there's problems, we can always revisit it.
Of course.
It can always, it just takes 2 months.
Always 2 readings away.
2 readings away. So would someone, so this portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public
I'll
portion?
make a motion to close the public portion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Ms. Passio. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, public portion is closed. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the second final reading and advertising according to law.
Okay, motion by Mr. Farrell, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Shapiro. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri?
Yes.
All right, committee reports. Mr. Ranieri, Finance.
Mayor, I'm going to, good evening, everybody. I'm going to stand on my caucus report.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. All right, public safety, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. You did hear the figures for the EMS for the month, but I did want to touch base on a few things. Namely, that we will be having a safety committee meeting, this is for the JIF, on Wednesday, April 20th at 10:30 in the Borough courtroom. I will be attending, Michael, okay? And I have a letter to the Department of, let me get that letter out. The Department of Health and Human Services, trying to get a grant so that we can have kits that are supplied to the police, also supplied to our EMTs.
What kind of
It's
kits?
a Narcan.
Narcan.
Yeah. So right now, we're paying for that kit. We'd like to have a grant that will allow us to get reimbursed, or at least partially paid on that. So that letter went out, and that went out on March 28th. Thank you, Michael. Keep us posted on that, please.
Oh,
Do you think you'll ever hear back?
so that's letters of support for us, supporting Camden County's mental health authority to get the grant. They're gonna buy all the kits and disperse them throughout the county, the police and EMS agencies.
Excellent.
As part of a new state law that went out that kind of went without really any input from EMS or police departments of how we'd be able to afford to leave Narcan behind with any overdose patients. So that's kind of what they're trying to do, is get funding for those kits. So it's not coming out of our budget.
The kits are a Band-Aid, am I correct?
So basically, if somebody refuses transport to a facility for help, what they want you now is to leave a dose of Narcan and pamphlets and other information for the person to receive help, at least on their own. Again, there was no real funding added to that law, so that's what they're looking to do, is get a grant to make it a little bit more easier for us to do that without having to take out the budgetary costs.
Well, if I can, how much are the kits?
So we're a little bit different with EMS. We have to buy through prescription for our Narcan, and we have to go through wherever medical director approves for a vendor. We pay about $56 a dose right now.
And I don't want to make it seem like, we're having an epidemic here in Runnemede of it. How many do you go through?
So we've actually been on the downward trend lately. We're down to maybe 1 or 2, I'd say, a month that we're administering through EMS, but it's also down a lot because the police department also has it they can administer before we get there. It's actually out in the public a lot too. So it helps us out a lot. Is normally there's 1 or 2 doses administered before we get there. And we can rely on more of our skill set of oxygen therapy and other means to use Narcan already applied to that patient to revive them. So we have better kind of turnout with that. But this is more geared towards people that get revived and do not want to go to the hospital. It's a way to kind of keep them a little bit safer, is what they're looking to do. Again, for us, there's no real means for us to do it because our medical director really hasn't even said if we're going to be allowed to hand it over to a civilian without the same training us to be able to administer it. So that's what this grant's looking to do through the county health, of trying to, come up with a kit that's user-friendly for the public and, not put the burden back on us.
So we're not in an uptick.
What's that?
We're not in an uptick.
For right now, I wouldn't say, status quo, if anything.
Okay. All right, good. Just want to make sure we got that across. I don't want to
Good information.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I don't think all of us were aware of what that kind of mandate is.
When that came out, there really is no notification to EMS as well. I think within the last couple weeks, even with the police chief, they just got notified because they started getting questions about how they're going to handle it. The police department started coming to us, and we found out about it through that way too. Speaking at least at the EMS Chief Association last week, everybody is kind of on the same boat of we just don't have the means to supply as of right now. We're speaking with like Cooper at Buzz Kansas City, we double their amount on a daily basis, and
Right.
they just don't have the supplies for it.
Well, keep us posted on that, and when it goes through, I'm sure it will. I think other towns will definitely support this, so I think it'll go through. But keep us posted.
Oh.
And if you recall at the caucus, we talked about the new billing system. I'm not going to say too much about it now, but Michael has done a lot of prep work, and I appreciate all the work you've done on this, because it's been one of those kind of things that it had to be done very quickly because we lost so much billing time with our old billing firm. And that time has been restored, and our billing is being restored, and you captured all that. And I do appreciate that. It's in your report. And I just want to make sure that we all know that we are changing our billing system. And that whatever we lost last month has been captured by Captain Kearney. I just want to make that known. And that's for EMS. And here's the service agreement that we're going to be discussing.
I think the council's already approved the signing of this. There was just some details with the legal side. And I
Okay.
believe we're going to be moving.
Yep, square them away today.
Yeah, so you guys already did a resolution authorizing me to sign it
Right.
once it went through legal.
Well, I looked at it, it's fine.
Yep.
And I approve of the changes that our attorney made. Okay, the fire marshal, you're
Yeah, put them on.
You're getting off easy
I
tonight.
know. And then lunch, very well there.
Okay. Property maintenance, there were 28 complaints, 14 re-inspections, 35 CO inspections, 22 re-inspections, 4 multiple dwelling inspections, and 3 court summonses issued. So our property maintenance gentleman, Buck Patilla, is doing a great job. Thank you, Buck. He's not here tonight, but I appreciate all that he does. He's out there, and he is out there every day, and keeping things in a very proper manner. I had to call on him myself for a resident, and within 3 days, it was all resolved. I was very impressed.
He does he's very, works for our police department very well. Does a fantastic job,
Well,
as you
you
said.
worked with me on that
Yeah,
problem.
fantastic.
And
Yep.
within 3 days, it was resolved. I was totally impressed. Our police, we had a huge amount of calls last month. Usually it's around 825, and last month it was over 1,000 calls for service for our police department. And that just goes to show how important it is that we have these men out there serving the public. Over 1,000 calls. That's amazing. 8 hours of overtime. Amazing again. Thank you, Chief. I know you're working your numbers here, and I really appreciate it. 397 traffic summonses. Our guys are out there, and they are really protecting us. We only had 11 motor vehicle crashes. That's down. That's good.
That's very good.
And 69 arrests, that's pretty standard. And a good report. And of course, each month, I don't know, does anybody else get this report besides myself?
I think it's emailed.
Yeah, I mean,
Spread it around,
No,
okay.
no,
You know, look at it because it's really impressive, very impressive. And our fire department, wow, what a crazy month in our fire department. They had a 6.4-minute response time. They had weekly training with great turnout. The Alliance drill was hosted by Haddon Heights this month and held at Stanfield Towers. The crews focused on building-specific incidents and hose line deployments. But this is really a crazy one. Okay. They were alerted to a fire alarm at presidential apartments. They found a heater backfire, which resulted in a burn victim. So they had to treat the EMTs had to treat the burn victim, and the fire marshal was on the scene, and they had to look. They had to notify the county fire marshal. And then the Burger King had a fire, and they went to that. The Squad 75 arrived, and they covered water supply for the area. And a boat fire on the Turnpike. A boat fire on the Turnpike. I'm serious. I'm serious.
What was the Turnpike?
Well, you know, we report.
Yeah.
Our 75 squad goes out. So on 3/21, we handled a boat fire on the New Jersey Turnpike. Yes, you read that correctly. A 25-foot boat was in transit from New York City to Florida when it caught fire on a trailer, and the Squad 75 and the NG 75 operated a single hand line using approximately 1,000 gallons of water to extinguish the fire. It was a crazy one. Crazy one. Our fire department is terrific. I really do appreciate all they do. So that's my report.
Okay.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you very much, Ellen. Public events.
How can I follow?
Ms. Passio.
How can
Want to
I
take the microphone so you
follow
can
that?
get on that?
Thank you, thank you. Yes, I do have the fun part. Okay, yes, so we're going to have an Easter parade on Saturday, April 16th. It'll begin at 11 o'clock. Rain or shine, the Easter Bunny will be traveling through Runnemede giving out toys for the kids. So I'm asking that everyone that's involved meet on Elm Avenue at 10:30 in the morning so we can, everybody can line up and be prepared to start moving. Also, the Rotary Club is having an Easter egg hunt on Saturday at 9:30 in the morning for children under 9 years old, 9 years old, and that will be at the David Ella Park. And their rain date is on the 16th, but at 9:30 in the morning. So hope to see all the kids out there on the lawn watching the parade, and Mayor and Council are very happy to welcome the Easter Bunny. And with that, I say progress.
I vote just to add that the Rotary Club, if Rich and John, if you're available, they did want to go over the locations of the exercise equipment. I think the whole group said they were going to be there if you have availability. The day that they're doing Easter egg hunt. After they're done, they're all going to be there, so their thought was maybe to walk around.
And that's Saturday?
That's at Saturday morning. I mean, it doesn't take that long. It's Saturday. If you have time, you know, I'm going to be there as a Rotarian. And
So like
but
10
you guys
o'clock?
are the ones who are supposed to be there. Yeah. And maybe, and then, you know, bring some paint and we'll locate where they're going to go.
Who's going to be, a little rusty there?
Russell be there?
Okay.
We're saying 10 o'clock.
Well, 9:30 is the hunt starts, so that usually
Okay,
takes
and bring some
half
paint, you know what I'm
hour.
saying?
Doesn't Harry need, got to be there for that?
I think we could easily mark it and then he can, you know, we don't need to bring Harry in on there.
Okay.
But have we bought the equipment yet?
They got a grant through Rotary International.
Right.
So it's en route.
Oh.
And so now the location, we accepted it with a resolution, now we just, because we're going to be responsible for it.
Yeah, I know.
The engineer had some great questions, I forwarded it, we got some of the answers, and so one was the location was an issue.
Now, does Jeff have to get approval of that?
They actually, the letter we got from the insurance company was very weird, basically saying that exercise equipment does not fall under their purview, correct?
They just never thought about it.
That's not what I've heard, so.
Did you see that email?
I didn't see it.
I'll have to send it to
Yeah, it was very vague.
See something?
So I agree we go with your plan of making sure that it's installed properly. We use just common sense.
As long as John is happy with his signing off, I don't think John will
I
have a
think
problem.
it's just common sense.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm talking about John Seville, you know, he's the loss
Yeah.
control.
And, so that's the only thing I want to mention to you guys if you have time.
Very good, I'll be
Okay.
there.
And as mayor and council, we don't necessarily have to be at the Easter egg parade because I may be away.
No,
That's
I'll be
Easter
there.
weekend.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Hopefully Tab will be there.
Okay.
Picking up Easter.
So public events,
Pick that
engineering.
one up, pick that one up, get that
I'm
one.
gonna go with my caucus report, but I want to,
Six.
ask Mark about that Isham sanitary that we rejected.
Yes.
We're going to do that tonight,
I
right?
want to do that again. Are we still going to have enough time before they do Isham, the second portion? I know they're doing from Hartford down to Charles.
Yeah, that's at least a year away, because they're working on the other part of
It's
it.
probably 2 years. Because it took them 2 years from the last time they were in Magnolia. So the funding is almost every 2 years, it seems like. So we'll have time.
Other than that,
Well, you can report about that, yeah. Okay, thank you, Bob. Public Works, Mr. Robbins.
I'm going to rely on the report from caucus, Rockets.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Shapiro.
Mostly relying on caucus. The only thing is, baseball opening day is April 23rd at 10:30 a.m. As of right now, there's no parade, but he's still thinking about it, so if it does happen, I'll let you guys know. And softball opening day will be on the April 24th at 1 p.m.
10:30 for the oral.
24th, one Saturday and one Sunday. And if you can make it, just let me know so I can give a heads
The
up.
24th at 1 o'clock.
Correct.
Just give me a holler, will you?
Well, you're definitely going to be there, Rich, right? Are you there?
Yeah, I'll be there, bro.
I plan to be at both.
Okay.
It's the 23rd and 24th.
Yeah.
The rest of the progress.
All right, thank you.
I think maybe 3 people should be there. 3 to the.
It doesn't matter, all of us can be there.
Yeah, sure.
I'm with everyone, everyone.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's important.
You better be at the softball.
You're always down there, or you're both?
That's not his little one.
Okay. All right, very good. Solicitors report.
I'm going to rely on my report from caucus and the resolutions and ordinances that you see on the agenda this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. Engineers report.
I'll rely on my report from caucus with 2 exceptions.
Wow.
Something's happened since then.
Get the microphone. Mr. Basin, get the microphone.
We continue to work after the caucus meeting.
Unplug his mic.
The open space applications for the VFW playground were submitted last Thursday. We submitted on behalf of the VFW themselves and for the borough. As Bob was referenced, we took bids last week for the sanitary sewer manhole replacements on Hewsham Road. We only got 1 bid, and it was over the cost estimate, so we're recommending you reject bids. And you have a resolution on tonight's agenda number 22-62 to reject those bids, and then we'll re-advertise. What we're going to do is have it in the paper for a longer period of time. We only had it in the paper for 10 days. 4 people picked up, but we only got 1 bidder, so we're going to have it in the paper for a long period of time, and we're going to change the contract length from 60 days to 90 days. That might have scared away some contractors.
Shelley, there's another option though, where we maybe pull some items out of it. And because we were talking about, because of Public Works has some necessities, we're thinking of maybe adjusting this a little bit. We have a backhoe issue that we more likely don't get on tonight. So that might affect your advertising, or is this different funding for this, for these?
It's
Managers.
similar funding, so we can discuss that.
We can discuss a little bit. Mark did say there was an opportunity, maybe we take pieces. This was throwing everything into a bucket and trying to get a bunch of things done, correct?
The only thing we can pull out, we were going to replace 6 manholes, and then we were going to cement line 2 of them. We could pull the cement lining out of the contract.
But I read when I read the bid, I thought it was 10. It was 10. What did it say? Quantity 10.
10 linear feet.
10. It's always
Oh.
10 linear feet, and they wanted $110,000.
They misbid.
Do you think they wrote it wrong?
They were going to do 10,000 a manhole, and because it's a subcontracted item, so the subcontractor submitted a price, per unit, but it was actually based on 10 lineal feet, which is, the two manholes are 5 feet deep.
Okay.
And the pad is for how deep you have.
I misread it also, I thought it said 10.
It's 10 lineal feet.
It was only 10 feet,
10 lineal
not
feet.
10 manholes.
Right,
Okay, because the price came in at 110,000, but we thought it was going to be
10, 15,000.
10,000.
Right,
So that makes more sense.
right.
Okay, so they missed it.
And we could pull that out and three-quote that, because it should be less, way less.
Well, I think we'll talk to Shelley Wood, because tonight, you know, we're getting a lot of pushback from our superintendent about fixing some things, so we might want to, we do have to get this done before the road goes in, but we do know we have a little bit of time between the county finishing Evesham Road up to Hartford, and then Hartford to...
Yeah, what'd you say about?
Well, I think it was Walter, I don't know how far they were going, if they were going only to the corner, you know, the Charles is the Magnolia.
Yeah.
And then it was to Hartford, and then Hartford to, probably just to the Black Horse Pike, and then the next phase would be the other side of the pike. They might do it in phases, who knows how they're going to do it. It's not our say. Okay, was there anything else on that?
That was it, but are we not going out to bid, or we talked about?
I think we need to talk to Shelley just a little bit more. Do you need anything from council to go out to bid again? No, okay. So we might adjust it and do something to
It's
that.
it's in the resolution to go out to bid at a future date.
Okay, well, that leaves you
Far
there.
future.
That leaves it open, so
Okay,
that's good.
that leaves you open.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay,
And that's everything I had to want to talk
All right,
about.
thank
So
you.
if I ask any questions about anything else.
no problem. All right, we're just going to jump. I'm going to put the resolutions together because there's quite a few, and we have some ordinance tonight. I'm just going to read them. If there's any questions, please stop me. Resolution 2255 is a resolution confirming 2022 appointments. This is in the police department, Linda Ties, a crossing guard, and the public works department, Antonio Klein, is a temporary employee. Resolution 2256 is a resolution urging the swift passage of Senate Bill 33-0A3804, which is the Senate and Assembly bills, asking to restore the energy receipts tax. Just so everyone knows, the borough used to get almost $700,000 more from the state in 2008 than we did in 2022. Resolution 2257 is a resolution canceling the fund balance of an ordinance. This is remember what we talked about that we're cleaning up from last year. Resolution 2258 is a resolution authorizing the transfer of a premium from the tax collector's redemption account to the general account. This is for $5,500. I guess it went to tax sale.
The premium,
The premium.
it was foreclosed on.
It was foreclosed.
Yeah.
Okay. Resolution 2259 is a resolution granting 100% disabled veteran exemption from property tax, as requested by the assessor. Resolution 2260 is a resolution supporting the establishment and operation of a facility for cannabis retail by Honeyleaf, New Jersey, located at 413 North Black Horse Pike. Hopefully no one has any objections for that. Resolution 2261, resolution authorizing the sale of borough property through an online auction. What piece of equipment?
Dodge Charger.
This is the Dodge Charger. Thank you, Chief. Resolution 2262 is a resolution rejecting the bid for the sewer manhole replacement, but also allowing for a future bid at some other time. And
That's it?
that takes care of it. So I'm looking for
I
a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve resolutions 2255 through resolution 2262.
Very good.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Mr. Lobenstein. Any discussion on any of those? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Keller.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Powell.
Yes.
Mrs. Patio.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right, those resolutions are adopted. Obviously, those that were done when in the meeting caucus, we went over all of them prior, so that's an easy way of doing it. All right, so now we have first reading of some ordinances. So we have first reading for ordinance 2204, which is an ordinance granting an access easement to South Jersey Gas Company for the purpose of providing access to property located at Smith's Lane to Clemens Bridge Road, Block 3101, Lot 1, to Block 3102, Lot 2. This is along the bike path. This is the natural gas line running to the old Trap Rock property.
And confirm, they are not going to dig up the bike path.
No.
They're just going to run this line adjacent to.
And anything they do, they'll have to restore. So any damage will have to be restored, and it's adjacent to the not only asphalt, it will be on the grassy area in between. But what it does is it precludes us in the future of doing anything in that area, correct? We can't dig in the area that they're taking. So they're giving us $20,000 for this easement. Would someone like to make a motion on this ordinance?
I mean,
Motion to adopt. First reading, advertised according to law, the public hearing to be held at a meeting on May 3rd, 2022, beginning at 7 p.m.
Motion by Mr. Lobenstein,
I'll second that.
second by Ms. Passio. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
Ordinance 2205 is an ordinance amending Runnemede Borough Code entitled Vacant and Abandoned Properties. This is the clarification that our solicitor gave us about using the pro-champ system with the shared service with the county. This is in regards to registration of abandoned properties.
This is very good.
Very good. Would someone like to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to adopt on, let's see which one. I'll make a motion to adopt on first reading and advertise according to law with a public hearing to be held in a meeting on May 3rd, beginning at 7 p.m.
Motion by Ms. Kelly, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Shapiro. I do want to say something. Another attorney, I think it might have been Dave Day, told us that we don't have to read all that. You simply get away with a motion and a second.
First of all, it wasn't Dan's dad, it was Dan.
Was he?
It was.
Wasn't your dad yelling at me? I thought it was your dad telling me.
Well, he yells more than I do, as opposed to sarcastically bringing it up like I would, but yes.
So it's up to council is what my point is.
It's motion to adopt on first reading.
Yeah, you could simply say that.
Well, I checked this out with the woman in our office who's now taking the classes. She takes the test.
Beth just went to the
And
class.
they say that you should be reading.
Tell Beth to bring that little part of her
Date and
book.
time is what they're.
So they say
teaching in
date
the
and
class.
time?
You should give the date and the.
But that's the point of the public advertisement that comes after. It would be my counter to
understand
the,
that.
no, not to you, but to the.
But this is how I was taught, and she's being taught the same way
Really?
30 years later.
Maybe something.
You know, I don't have a problem
It is
with the
tradition.
date, yeah. I don't have a
fine.
problem with the date being a public, I mean, that should be out there.
I didn't mean to take us on a tangent, but I was trying to move the meetings
You've
along.
been all about it.
Tangents. All right. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right. So now we have ordinance 2206, an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of real property from New Jersey American Water for block 149, lot 6. This is the ordinance establishing purchasing the land at the end of Evergreen Avenue for the sewer pump station for the sewer extensions.
I'll make a motion to adopt on first reading and advertise according to law with a public hearing to be held at a meeting on May 3rd,
When's the hearing?
7 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr.
You're welcome.
Is
I'll
there a
second that.
Second by Ms. Passio. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri. 6 ayes.
So we're getting 20,000 from South Jersey Gas, and we're paying from New Jersey American Gas 40,000. Yeah.
Yeah, something doesn't.
Yeah.
New Jersey American property. New Jersey American.
We own the property, you're right. They don't own, they only have an easement.
New Jersey American Water.
New Jersey American Water. Yeah, take a little more. So we have one more ordinance, 2207, is an ordinance amending chapter 153 of the Runnemede Code. This is fees. And what are we doing?
These are the 4 fees that Mike suggested to be raised.
Sorry about that, Mike.
Okay, yeah.
We all said we wanted to do this.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
would someone like to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to adopt on first reading.
And
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Lobenstein, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call.
That's on May 3rd, right?
Somebody.
7 o'clock?
Mrs. Kelly.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
You want to hear something funny? The former council, they used to make me stop, they would stop the meeting at a specific time and try to do the public hearing.
To match the time that was
To
advertised.
match the time, yeah, it was bizarre.
That's
Yeah.
bizarre.
Now, I knew that was wrong, yes.
Well, every town is a little different.
You're right, you're right.
But the rules are the rules. All right, we have payment of bills. Would someone like to make a motion to pay the monthly bills?
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Lobenstein, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yeah.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
And Mr. Renier.
Yes.
All right, the bill shall be paid. Good and welfare. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Mike Sika. My name is Mike Sika. I live at 821 East Shane Road. And I guess before I tell you what brings me here, I apologize because I'm one of the citizens who hasn't paid the dog registration fee yet. Guidance, little guidance.
There's the police right there.
There's the guy right there, yeah.
I invited him.
Look, I need to shop still, so I'll get on that. Thank you for the reminder. So, I was here for the zoning meeting relative to the town use of the department. And, obviously I'm concerned because I live, pretty close to that. I've been a resident here for 16 years. I'm a small business owner now, COVID. I'm not a storefront, but I'm a small business here. And anyway, so, and I'll be at the next one as well. So, that turned into, I actually ran to the.
And when you say the next one, you mean the next meeting?
The next one.
Is this meeting?
Yeah, so that first meeting was only for the amount of properties. The next one we'll talk more in detail.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you one of the homes right behind the property at 821?
Yeah, I'm right on 821. So I'll butt up to.
This land?
Yeah, this land, that'll be in there. Anyway, so I had a really nice conversation with the chief about a week and a half ago. I was invited to come here. And that subsequently turned into a really nice conversation with Kathy. So I had a nice conversation the other day. And I guess, the long and short of it, the way I explained it to Kathy was when I moved here and I was 29, I guess I didn't really care. I'm just trying to be honest. I guess other than, paying my taxes and not getting arrested, my contribution to the township has pretty much been, running a Rotary 5K and coming to the 2014 zoning meeting. So anyway, the point of the story is I wanted to get a little bit more involved. Now that I'm 45, I care a little bit more, about what's going on, in the town.
So as a business owner, you're going to join the business organization?
Yeah, I'm in the kind of throes of like learning about everything and all of that. So, I'd like to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, we rely on people telling us what's going on. We don't know everything. We don't know what's going on in everyone's little corner of our community.
Right.
So yeah, the engagement of the public is important. All of our cell phones are out there, our emails out there. We're extremely accessible. Our chief, as you know, he's been doing a phenomenal job of reaching out to everybody. I mean, I've literally heard that you've reached out to everybody. Everybody, But you know what, though? It's a different mentality that we're trying to project here. I think we had a time there where we were a little more standoffish with our code enforcement and some of the things, and I think it took us a while to learn different things and adopt different things. Now, how's your opinion about those homes behind there? What's some of your concerns?
Well, I mean, I'm obviously concerned about traffic. Obviously, whenever you have more people, it becomes more of a problem. I try to take the positive out of everything. So hopefully, obviously, the property taxes and whatnot can generate more money for the township. But I'm just, I guess anytime you have more people, you can always have more problems.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the proper forum for it, but the question, I have a bunch of questions for the next zoning meeting.
Yeah, that would be, so just to give you, everyone here at council should know this, obviously, is that they're going to have a very detailed plan that they have to submit to the zone. It'll be the planning board now. So zoning, because that was the use variance. Planning board, myself and Mr. O'Neary sit on that one. So we'll get, and all council and all the public will have drawings showing very specifically, the boulevard going in, because they are required to have a boulevard, because you're right, there is a concern when you build a development, there has to be enough access for flow of traffic. The fire department has to sign off that they can get their vehicles in there and stuff like that. Our concerns are things like sidewalks, setbacks, impervious coverage, open space, what they intend to do with some of the old growth trees back there. There's DEP regulations. So this company is more than aware of what they have to do to come to the next step and show us an application that's going to, that if they wanted to get approved, they have to take into consideration everything that the rules say, and also the people. I think by people showing up at that last meeting, I think that really showed them that this community cared. That they cared, that they had concerns, that they didn't want to just be rolled over and just, something jammed or squeezed down them. And I really think the planning board, the chairwoman and the members did a great job of, going back and forth and understanding some of the concerns of the crowd.
And it's not even just the fact that they'll be there, it's, the timing that it takes to get everything constructed. It's the, we've gone through, some stuff in the last 2 years, I guess is a nice way to put it. So there are issues with, obviously, if COVID were to come back, we have supply chain issues, we
still have it, yes.
We're going to have, raises in federal interest rates are coming, that's, so all of these, one big concern I have is obviously it's going to take some time to get it together. If you run into a supply chain issue, what happens if you can't?
So what happens, I'll let you know, they have to post a bond. So they post a bond to the borough, which says that they have to finish the public areas, correct, Mr. Pishman? Building houses is up to them. But when they say to this board and to the members of council that they're going to put a road in, they're going to put sidewalks in and curbs in, they have to do it. And if they don't do it, we take their bond and we do that. And I've only been here, not long enough to know, we've not had a lot of development in this town. We've only had one other development on Cali Court. And there was a time where we had a problem where they weren't finishing some of the things that they were supposed to do.
That.
So council was very proactive to try to get that done. It's not easy, and I agree with you. So we do hold people responsible for this. But I will say, do you recall there were 2 other applications? There were twice, this came up before, where homes were supposed to be built and it fell apart. So I agree. There's no guarantee to anything.
And obviously, it's a big job. I just, my concern is if you have a lack of material, if you have a lack of workers, if people
It's
are...
not under our control.
And I understand that. I just, one concern I have is, half-built homes just sitting there.
You know that does happen.
Yeah.
So we will make sure that our engineering, our borough engineer is also our planning board engineer. They'll do the inspections and the investigations to make sure everything's done properly.
Great.
Okay?
Well,
Nice to
I
meet you.
appreciate letting me
Thanks for
talk.
coming.
Hey, Mike, I would just like to thank you for getting involved, and also, you're not alone, being here for all those years, not being engaged, and all of a sudden it clicks and you get engaged. There's a lot to do around here. The business organization with Kathy, I'm on that as well. I also run the green team, which we have monthly meetings to become more green and sustainable. If you're interested, let me know.
Sure.
And of course, Runnemede is doing an awful lot.
Which I did take a look at it, so
Nice.
I did peruse the website on Runnemede as well.
I'm sure I'll see you at one of those
Looking forward
meetings.
to the next steps, exactly. So,
Appreciate you getting
great.
involved.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Now if we can get the 8,300 other people.
All right.
One by one.
One at a time,
One by one.
One at a time. If we can get 4 people to show up to decorate for Halloween, that
I'm not a super
That would
shy
be
person,
great.
I'm in financial sales, so I'll do my best to reach
I'll
out to
keep
that
your
community,
number
see
for
if I can get some other citizens here as well.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Mike.
Thank you.
would anyone else wish to speak?
I do. And you know what? I wanted to say, I just recently started getting involved too, being here 30 years. And Mayor and Council has been so awesome to work with. And it's been really great getting to meet you and work with you.
Thanks, Kathy.
All right, so I have 2 things.
Your name and address, follow the rules.
Kathy Walker, 145 East 3rd Avenue, here in Runnemede. 2 things. So, the resolution to have the Turnpike allow us to paint murals. So I met with Bill Moen, and he said we need to have a resolution to urge the New Jersey Turnpike, because New Jersey Turnpike is a blanket no, unless we have something promoting it. Now, Bill Moen is part of the Transportation Committee, and he's also involved in the meetings. My political language is not the best, so just correct me if I'm wrong. So he's involved in the meetings with the Turnpike for all this reconstruction, deconstruction that they're doing. And he said, if we have this resolution, then he will bring it to the Turnpike for us, and he will promote it, because he wants to see murals on the turnpikes and, in major areas. So, how do we get a resolution?
So, okay, so the only thing I'll say about a resolution is, I think it's okay for council to do this. The only thing I would say to help Bill out, or I don't mean to say Bill, but Assemblyman Moen, would be to be specific about what we're looking for, so that he doesn't just walk up there with something that says Runnemede wants a mural. I think we should show a drawing, and I know we had one at one point,
Is that what
and I think we should show
you're
some,
looking for?
yes.
I have concerns about that drawing.
Okay, well, that's what I'm getting at. So my point is, I don't think we should just do a resolution without it paired to
I
a
think-
proposal.
Let me just interject, I think what they might be looking for is just a statement saying
Yes.
that we support the endeavor to beautify and get some creative art, of course with council's approval and the board approval. But they just want to know that we are interested in making this happen.
Well-
No details, I don't think they need
The only reason I disagree with that is because I had a meeting with the Turnpike Authority, and their policy is no murals.
Yes.
And it was in writing and sent to us, and I sent a copy to our attorney because they're also looking for us to give them something. So there is some leeway. They want something from us, we want something from them.
Is there a first step, is a resolution that just says we discuss?
So a resolution, just to give you an example of what resolutions are, no offense to anybody out there, but I go to the League of Municipalities, and they do resolutions every year, and they all get thrown in the trash. They never, I mean, I've sat in meetings, Harry represented the borough one time and sat there, and they spent 8 hours at the resolution committee, and not one got adopted, anything they asked for. The Assembly and the Senate do whatever they want to do. And the governor is even, he does what he wants to do. So while this resolution that we just said for energy receipts tax, do you know they've been sending them out for 27 years? This is just the first time we're actually doing it because there's actually a Senate bill that someone actually proposed. So we're doing it. But even that Senate bill doesn't mean anything because in New Jersey, they introduce a lot and don't get it passed. What
do you recommend then?
There's symbolic gestures.
What's that?
Symbolic
They're
gestures.
symbolic gestures. So a resolution is typically a symbolic gesture. My point is, because Bill does sit on the committee, I think it gives him an opening to possibly say, look, we're not just saying a mural. We've done a little bit of legwork, even though I know you don't, because it may not happen. But that little bit of legwork might help us and say, this is what we're talking about. You're talking we were in a meeting, myself and the engineer, and I believe Mr. Wozon. They had 9 people just talking about meeting with us. So that's how massive this organization is. The Turnpike is bigger than, they're spending $2 billion to redo 58 bridges. So our bridge is slated to be redone. Our intersection is slated to be redone. But I think we should try. I'm 100%, especially with having an assembly person, supporting us.
He said he tried, he tried this, I think he said 2011, and it was totally turned down. But now there have been murals put up, and he cited a place in Newark that has really big murals. And so he said he thinks now is the time.
And maybe a good time.
And so he wants to support this.
Yeah.
And
So I just think, I don't know why we'd be against trying to put something at least together, so that this board feels happy to support it.
So are you asking us to put together like a mock
Yes, I
display
think exactly.
of actually what we want to do?
Exactly that.
Let's see, Ken, get that
So
together.
that
Maybe
Well,
we-
everyone here gets the
Who's
same.
going to pay for it?
Next month,
Who's going to do
we'll
it?
walk it on.
Who's going to do the maintenance?
Next step is get the
And
artwork.
then we'll indicate our support. via
Because that's going to be the question that Turnpike's going to have. So if we have those questions already answered, what Patty just said, and I agree with her, if we propose to the Turnpike Authority to put this mural up, and we say to them that the Borough of Runnemede, or some organization, I think they're only going to trust the Borough of Runnemede, no offense, says, we're going to, maintenance is, will reimburse the Turnpike for their costs. I mean, think about that. That we have agreements with the Turnpike already where we go out on the Turnpike to do a lot of work for them. They don't pay us anything. Correct? Mr. Attorney, we don't get anything from them. So they're not going to want to pay for anything. So I think we need to answer all the questions that Ms. Passage just said. Who's going to maintain it? Who's going to do it?
Do the work.
When it needs to be repainted, who's going
Where's the
to,
money
so
coming
that
from?
every question they could possibly
Is
ask,
answered.
Mr. Assemblyman Mullen can say, the Borough of Runnemede has already thought about it.
And to add to that, because they are all the points, since we are going through this deconstruction, reconstruction, it could be 8 years, because he said it's between now and 8 years.
Yes,
He said he would like to pose it as a pilot project, because if they don't like it,
it's even
then
better.
it's part of it's going to be deconstructed anyway, so let's just take it down
Yeah,
and say.
so I think-
no.
There's
All the
a
stuff-
lot more success in pilot projects.
Yes. Because if it doesn't work, the bridge gets torn down and everything's done.
And we were right.
So we'll try to get it together before the next meeting,
Sure.
the next focus.
Eleanor wanted to have it done in 18 minutes. I saw 17 emails. And Eleanor, I didn't read any of them. Once you got to the second one, I was done.
As soon as I walked in, I said, resolutions, it's not on the list.
Well, because we are a deliberative body.
I get it.
I don't even, if you notice, I don't even have a vote. They have the vote. So you have to get a majority of the members of council to agree to
When
it.
you have a vote.
Only when it's a tie.
Okay.
It's the only time I get the vote. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's wonderful that Assemblyman Moen is.
We've been talking about this for a long
Well, and that's why I say the drawing that originally was done by Mr. Lee, I thought it was a nice looking drawing to start off with.
Kathy's doing the heavy lifting, so while she wants to run with it, we'll support her.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Our job is never to stop people from volunteering. The only thing our job is to make sure that anything you do doesn't come back on us. That's the only thing we have to be. That's our job. To make sure that if we put in exercise equipment in, it doesn't fall over the next day.
We say yes.
And then we get sued for, and municipalities get sued for a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's our job.
Yep.
Okay? Kathy, great.
All right, one more.
Oh.
So we are confirmed for May 7th for the townwide ribbon cutting.
Yep, it's gonna be great.
So that's
Very
great.
exciting.
Be great.
Found my calendar.
How many calendars?
I think there's 5.
Wow.
Mostly off the Black Horse Pike. I'm waiting to hear back from Codfather. So Mike should be, I'll reach out to him again.
Will you send out something so we can have a list and know the itinerary?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'd like to ask for permission for the businesses to add signage and any like products and like things that they want to sell to make it more fun and festive.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We have an ordinance that is specific about those kind of things, but we do allow for temporary events, grand openings. The ordinance actually says that they're allowed to do those kind of events. They just can't leave it up forever, because what happens is it becomes tattered and
This comes around noon time on the 7th?
Oh, so yeah, that's what we can do. I thought Nick said in the morning, so I was thinking 10, but if we want to start at 12, I think that's great too.
whatever anybody wants.
Well,
I think
Well,
earlier is a
how's this
little
gonna
better.
work?
10's by then.
How about 10 is better?
So,
okay.
10 to 12, we can spend 15, 20 minutes at each one.
Yeah, let's do that.
Right, so it's, yeah.
10 to 12.
And this way they get to open their store in the morning, you know,
Yeah.
versus.
Well, they're excited, so I'm thinking they're coming in and.
That's
Chief, it'd be
Make
great
sure
if
they
you're
have
represented or
vegetables.
one of
Make
your
sure they have-
officers.
I'll be there.
Make sure they have veggie or,
Mark?
She's
Want
gonna
you to be
call
there.
awesome. He's been on the
You're going to be the MC, Mark?
yeah, for you.
We do.
No Italian.
And Mark is a DJ, he's a part-time DJ.
I told Father no.
Mark's
One of my
DJ.
officers is a DJ.
Father Joe,
I say call Father.
Father Joe is a DJ.
Yeah, that's what he does.
But I think it's great, that's great you got it together.
Did you get a DJ?
Yeah, well, now Officer Logan.
I told her to ask you.
Yeah.
Well, let's end at Comfather so we can eat there.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Tell them, you know,
Those whole people might be jealous.
Yeah.
I know you got pizza. I don't know.
Well, we'll eat everything.
we know we'll run from one place to the other, so we burn some calories. We'll run from solos and we'll have fun with it.
All right, thank you.
3 miles
Thank you,
before I
Kathy.
leave today.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Oh, and just as a reminder, thank you, Chief. The breakfast, the Business Association breakfast is April 19th at the Philly Diner at 8:30 in the morning. Chief Sam Polsky is our guest speaker, him and Officer Captain Murray. Captain Murray.
What time is that again?
8:30. I'm gonna send that in.
And it's at the Philly Diner?
Philly Diner.
Kathy, have you thought about possibly having meetings at nighttime with the businesses being open during the day? You know, some people can't get away.
I mean, we can definitely talk about it. The feedback was breakfast was what was the preferred. I know this, Nick said the same thing. Mayor said, you know, this is a bad time for him. We can bring it up again.
I spoke with Kathy maybe about if they, whatever they want to do, maybe in the future, visit maybe the VFW as a place to have a meeting, accessible, big spot.
And it's private, there is advantages. The VFW has, one of the things in the Rotary Club, we used to meet at the Holiday Inn, which was wonderful, we had our own banquet room. Once we started to meet at the diner, it's tough. There's one thing that's disappointing with the diner, it doesn't have a private room.
Yeah, and it's loud and the sun.
And it's loud.
We need more people, so that's another reason why, yeah.
So that is a wonderful idea, it is one of the few places in town that,
I'll help whatever.
Yeah, she's been great. He's out there telling everybody about it when he's out making his visits.
He's everywhere, that's all, he's everywhere.
He's
man.
everywhere, he's talking to citizens, he's talking to businesses. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Did we, Ms. Fairley, have anything?
She's not on the agenda. Did you want to have anything to speak? Mr. Riley?
Did you want to do?
You need a microphone, Mr. Riley.
Did you want to do that
Oh,
piece of equipment?
thank you. Well, you could have brought that up. So, I do, but Mr. Lobenstein wants to make sure that you're okay with it. I think council should pass a resolution this evening. So, what I talked about earlier was, Mr. Wozunk is very upset that the backhoe is incapacitated, it's not working, is that correct?
It's not working.
It's not
That's a key piece of equipment.
It is a key piece of equipment. However, I want to be critical of Mr.
You're
Wilson.
going to give me your backhoe?
No. We purchased, if you recall, a other machine just recently.
That has all that.
It is a small version of a backhoe. I just want everyone to know, I'm okay with ordering a backhoe and doing this. But at the same time, every department needs to be looking at things to purchase. We shouldn't have this catastrophe that the backhoe, I'm just saying we should have bought the backhoe before we bought this milling machine. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You know, I just think that every department, and I'm not blaming Mr. Wozok because he's doing a lot, and it's tough, and I know that, you know, we just bought a backhoe, but it's a smaller track version, and it doesn't do the same thing as the larger backhoe. Now the larger backhoe broke, now we have to rush. And what my argument is, there's only a certain amount of money. So those sewer manholes may not get done. You can't do everything. We can't wait till the last minute to replace the guns in the police department.
And I'm not getting an ambulance either.
The difference is, the ambulances are in much better shape than the 25-year-old guy. We did a great job with Mr. Curran. Would you like to come to the microphone and do me a one favor and remind everyone on council the ages of the ambulances prior to this council getting on board with a plan of replacing equipment? Can you describe the one ambulance that looked like what was the movie, Ghostbusters?
We weren't that bad. We had a 911 van that got replaced actually, we're 2 cycles from here, so that one got replaced in 2010. That's replacement is still on the road now, which we just dumped $7,800 into.
So let me just tell what he just said. An ambulance lasts for 20 years, and its replacement has only been on for 10 years. So, and would you say the ones we purchased are much better than the ones in the past? We've done a much better job.
More or
And we
less.
bought 2.
More or less, just like everything, they're just not lasting as long.
They're not lasting as long like everything else, but he's able to rotate his ambulances. Correct? We never run 2 ambulances at the same time.
We have a bi-weekly switch.
So bi-weekly. So the ambulance sits and doesn't get used, and the other, so they're only working 26 weeks out of a year. So if one were to go down, you could run one 24 hours a day,
But
7 days a
Mike
week.
had 2 ambulances down last month. You had 2.
Right, we had-
They didn't have an ambulance on the road.
Miss Kelly,
Or, I'm not gonna get
Miss
upset.
Kelly,
You're doing so good tonight.
the only thing I'll say about that is the what-if scenarios. The what-if scenarios. What happens, Miss Kelly, if there's 2, Mike, tell me what happens when there are 2 ambulance calls that come into the borough at the same time.
We have reliable mutual aid.
Hear what he said? We go on one, you should state that first. We go on the first one, but the second one is, Mike, what if we go on an ambulance call and a fire call comes in?
We rely on the volunteers and
And mutual aid.
mutual aid comes in.
If a fire call comes in and before an ambulance call, what do we do first?
We have the fire call and
So we're a first call system, which is what we agreed to with the union and with their manpower. You know, ideally, Mike would tell you that we should have 4 full-time firemen and at least 2 full-time ambulance, 6-person staff, correct? Would work for the borough of Runnemede. This borough, he's been here longer than all of us. When have we ever had 6 people?
full-time network.
Never. We went from 0 to 3 to 4. And we did it with this group. We went from 3 to 4, which was a 30% increase, which sounds a lot for someone one person. And, but that was it, right? We did those things.
I know.
And it's tough, and I would love to see us have 2 more full-time people down there. But the 2 things I would argue is, it's just like having a backhoe. If you buy a backhoe and it sits there for 51 weeks and you only use it for 1 week, why are you buying a backhoe? So that's what I want to remind everybody.
So share
Also, with
The
that.
director, I would remind you,
I would say-
pieces of equipment that sit for 51 weeks are not pieces of equipment we should own. And that's it.
So what do we do?
If we invest heavily, we're lopsided, because the mutual aid, we get abused, don't we get abused from other
Absolutely.
towns? And they would take advantage of us having the
Mike,
assets.
say right
Our
now,
assets will be going for everybody else.
I was with the
Well, we
mayor.
already do that. We already do that.
I know.
questioned that,
It's
John. I questioned that a couple of meetings ago.
I know you did.
Are we getting our money back from these other
I
towns?
don't think so.
For what, the ambulance?
No, we're not.
Wear and tear on our vehicle, even though they're giving us money for using our vehicles.
Well, Shelley,
But
you
in
want to
the
add
long
to
run-
what you said to me the other day, that you thought we need to reevaluate a lot of these shared services and
Exactly
these
right,
agreements.
because in the long run, at the end, we got this big,
Well, we're starting to be the givers, and we have to make sure we're reimbursed at least fairly.
That's right, or you're not gonna be able to
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
right.
So why don't we, if everyone, I'm gonna propose it, and you guys can decide if you want to do it. It would be resolution 2263 would be a resolution authorizing the purchase of a, do you have the email, Mr. Lobenstein? I had it.
A backhoe, a new backhoe.
Well, we need to be specific, because we already purchased the backhoe, but it wasn't the backhoe that we, it
Why
doesn't,
did we buy it?
It came with other.
we bought a specific one to do a specific task.
That
And we-
doesn't seem very efficient. I just.
The right tool for the right job is helpful, I will say.
All we had is,
What can your
We have to
ambulances do
quit.
besides being
we have to
ambulance?
quit.
What can they do
The
besides?
quick can do
being
5
ambulance?
things. The quick can do 5 things.
They can find ghosts.
All right, so here's the amount. So here would be resolution 2263, and a resolution to purchase a John Deere backhoe for $148,051.22, including the rental of a vehicle for the month, the 2 months it's going to take to rent a vehicle. Do you have a copy of it, Rachel? You looked at it too? Let's describe it a little bit. It is a 3010 SL backhoe loader, so you can look that up. See what it looks like.
I'm sick.
I'm sick too.
Can't we do that on time?
What's
But
that?
Can't we buy that on time instead of?
Lease it. Why can't we lease it?
So we fund money through loans anyway, so all our bond anticipation notes are loans. They're all payments. Our interest rates average anywhere from 1% to 3%. Some of the money that we get from the American Relief Act is the money that we're using for government services and things
Yeah.
like that. You know,
So is that
don't
where
get me
you're
wrong.
gonna go for
If
the
Mike turns,
backhoe?
if Mike, if in 2 weeks Mike comes and says the ambulance just blew up, I'm gonna have to do this, we're gonna have to do the same thing.
Mike, don't do
But I
it.
will argue that Mike has been telling us
So,
that we need to replace the ambulance. The
I-
difference is, he's got 2. We have 0 backhoes. The borough used to own 2 backhoes.
Isn't
And
there
what
enough
do we,
way to
okay,
do
so
it?
what do we use the backhoe for?
So a backhoe, example of a backhoe, there's a sewer main break.
Okay,
Dig the hole.
so stop right there. So we rely on Public Works to save us money, to come out and do work. Correct?
Yeah.
We
Yes.
do. We rely on.
We can hire a
contractor.
We can hire a contractor, but our
Will
Public
this pay for
Works
itself?
saves
Yes.
us money.
This will pay for
The
itself.
last one we had for 25 years.
Oh. You know, so.
This is a 25 to 30 year
definitely worth
purchase.
it.
You're right, good point.
Well, that's
Definitely
okay.
worth
It doesn't have the wear and tear,
Yes.
the way an ambulance has wear and tear. It's you agree 25 to 30 year purchase. The last time, if you guys remember, John Saville came to the town and put a red tag on our one backhoe because it was all damaged. You gotta remember that, red tag in it. So we used to have 2. The sewer department had 1 and the borough Public Works had 1. When we merged the 2 departments together, we got rid of the 1 piece of equipment and sold it. Well, we tried to
The
sell it.
current backhoe's a 1997
1997,
Yeah.
that's when I got married.
Yeah.
We actually did scrap it, if everyone recalls.
All the time.
What year was that?
Remember when they-
1997, I was 12.
So Mike, I know you need an ambulance, and I don't want you to say one day it broke down, but
just remember that we are, with our license, do have required to maintain 2. So if one does break down, we're instantly back up versus.
but if we do a
all.
shared,
Shared
if we do a shared service
service.
with ambulance, we could have 1 ambulance and another community could have 1
Yep.
ambulance. Mike, you're doing a great job. I can say that everything you've been doing to get all these things together has been really good. Mrs. Kelly is correct. You know, you see how much work it is to run this business. You're running a business
Yeah.
of, 20-some employees, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the chief, you're right, these are businesses you guys are running. And Harry's running a business. we could use a vendor to do this work. But just to let you know, we've had vendors, really take advantage of us and charge us.
If we didn't have the equipment and we needed it, we would pay for it a couple times over,
Yes.
5 times flat.
Yeah, so I'm going to support this and say that even though I think we need to do planning constantly, I'm mad about it, just like I would be mad if the ambulance broke down. I think we should do it. Mrs. Straley can make this happen. She's not happy about it either. There are some rules that have to be followed. He must provide a second quote. We cannot circumvent the law, right? Second quote. All this stuff has to be done properly. So our resolution should state that we authorize this purchase of this John Deere backhoe, subject to, fund certification by the CFO, right? And that's Chris and Shelley make sure that that happens. Anybody who deals with Chris and Shelley, they dot their i's and cross their t's. It's done properly.
And if it does make you feel better, every time the guys do go out and work on any type of sewer issue, it does save us anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 every time they go out there in Public Works Department.
Is that what you're saying, Mark?
Well, if we put something out for an emergency quote, it's roughly $10,000 a day for a crew and equipment.
Oh, my
They won't
goodness.
charge you for the backhoe per hour, the operator per hour. and you're
They use the
still-
FEMA rates, they use just like we do.
$10,000 a day, so if it's a 3-day repair job,
And
that's $30,000.
there's no guarantee that we can actually get the help with the current staffing situations, around the globe.
We only got one bid on our job. That's a classic example.
Eggs are running low.
Well, so how long will it take before we get the backhoe?
It'll be tomorrow.
2 weeks.
Eleanor, there's a rental. So the company selling us the unit is renting us the unit. So we'll have that rental until the new unit comes in.
Correct.
So we will never be down, from what I understand.
Correct.
Right.
Correct? Is that how you read
Yeah,
it?
that's how I read it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
They're estimating that the
Now-
unit should be here within 3 months.
So we have to pay this rental for 3 months.
Yes, yes.
Does that come off the price of the,
It's part of the package. It's
Oh, it's part of the
$3,900.
package?
Part of the package.
So that 180, what is it, 180?
148.
148
Yeah,
148.
includes the rent.
includes the rent.
And Harry also provides a quote-unquote mutual aid to other towns that don't have equipment or don't have the guys with
And we get
experience.
reimbursed, don't we?
We do, Harry.
And that's what
agrees
Mr.
to-
Farrell's saying, is that we need to,
Yes,
bill that appropriately.
exactly.
If we're spending $148,000, we've got to charge, I'm not saying charge $10,000 to our neighbors, but
Well, what are you talking about sharing an ambulance then?
I was making fun
Oh.
of the law, because he's right. If we were, so I'll give you a class example. How many ambulances does Voorhees have?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Okay, well, Harry Woods is in Glendora. I think they have 5, a town that's, 4 times the size of us. Because what Mike is saying is, you have to have a minimum of 2. But then as you get bigger, you only need to have enough to justify the more runs you're doing.
Not environment, at least one reserve for emergency backup. So if you do have a breakdown, you're not down for hours or days, you can get right back up, get back to the station, you get right back into service.
Yeah. So the 2 is a bare minimum, which is great.
It's amazing some of the things that we discovered, like on the dump trucks, the front rear wheels, the 4 wheels in the back. The 2 front wheels, when you turn, skid. They don't turn, they just slide. So they get flat spots. They need to be replaced like once a year. They don't wear out, but the truck is turning and there's 4 wheels. The front ones do not spin. They just slide, so they get a flat spot, and they gotta get replaced from time to time, The costs are just incredible. I questioned the chief on his, I don't know if anyone looked at the bill list, but the Charger, they just spent $4,300 on the Charger, the one that Mr. Daly had, and now he's gonna sell the older Charger for $10,000. So the $4,300 that were spent on that Charger, we're getting that money back. He's going to use it for something else.
Use it until the other vehicles come in and keep maintaining.
It's a decision that I made.
It's a good
I
decision.
went to Shelley, everything I do, I go to her, she signs off on it, I explain to her why I'm doing what I'm doing, and there's a reason, and it's the best thing for the police department.
The bill list, when it comes out, look at it. I peruse it all the time.
Police department signs off, you guys always sign.
And, you know, what, chief could easily go out and get a new car, you know, or ask for one.
Yeah.
No, and then the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because of the mileage on that particular car will take me into potential retirement, that same car. I'm never taking a
In
new
about 10
car.
years, it'll
It's
take
not
you
happening.
to retirement.
It's never happening.
Well, you put the front line men get the good cars.
Exactly.
The guys out there working.
Exactly. And that's the way Chief Daly did it, and that's what.
And if you recall, Daly car, when we sold it, remember the auctioneer said it only made a left to the Philly Diner part? That was the best. It was the best during the auction. This car's only made 2 lefts and 2 rights.
But I agree with the
I
mayor.
really hope that we don't have a situation where we have 2 ambulances down.
We're staying on top of it as much as we can.
I know you are. I know
One
you
got
are.
back this great sense of yelling's going out for some fine work this week, so
Ugh.
we're keeping them running.
Keep it running.
But, you know, I agree with the mayor, we could have had more lead time, but it is what it is. The case did, the one big problem with the case 1997 backhoe is we're having a very hard time getting parts. That's what did it.
Oh, okay,
So we might have kept it if it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have, if everyone's okay, we have the discussion, resolution 2263, a resolution as stated. You have all that, Joyce, the John Deere 32?
Yeah, all I don't know if it's a state contract or do we need?
It's in the co-op,
It's a
but I believe.
Sourcewell?
Sourcewell. So Sourcewell is a 310 SL backhoe loader.
We need a motion?
I'll make that motion, I want my backhoe. My backhoe.
Motion by Mr. Lovenstein, second by Mr. Shapiro. Let's just go rate the roll call. Roll call, please.
Say no. Say no.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri?
Yes.
Mr. Lovenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
And Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
All right, the resolution is adopted. I think was the public portion closed? Did I close the public portion?
Yes.
Did we close it? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I did not close it. I don't have.
I did not close it.
Okay.
Is there a motion to close the public portion?
I make a motion to close the public portion.
Yeah. Motion by Mr. Passio, second by Mr. Lovenstein, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there any other discussion? Chief?
Financial, oh, excuse me,
No,
I'm
you go
sorry.
for, no, you go
Financial disclosure statements, I sent out all the.
I did mine, I did.
I got yours.
You have to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like I did
Those who received it should fill it out.
She's going to tell us at least 6 more times.
I'm not your mother, I'm not gonna.
Joyce,
Yeah, you know one.
Anything else, Joyce?
email or?
Was that it?
That's it.
Is that it?
John,
Chief?
yes, I said
Yeah,
it, John.
Physical or email?
The only thing I would, is that
Email.
today, Council President Passio, Director of Public Safety, Mrs. Kelly showed up to the training for our body worn cameras. And like I said, I want to acknowledge Shelley again when the guy came to open up the boxes. We had everything we needed. It was a seamless installation. We have one more day of training. It's going to be Monday for redaction and all the other stuff we need, but I hit Shelley with a couple of things in the last week or two. I'm thankful she's here every day, and I'm thankful I work with her because I hit her with stuff, and she looks at me sometimes, but she's always up to help me, and she helps make the police department what it is because she's very easy to work with. So I want to thank her for that in public. Kathy, I look forward to working with you. Mike, thanks for coming. Welcome. You to you as well. So that's all I got. Everything else is good. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Anybody else have
Chief.
anything
Thank you,
before we
Chief.
close the meeting? Okay, well, this was a good meeting again. Thank you, a little long, but that's okay. So is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion by Ms. Passio,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Shapiro. We adjourned at 8:18.